Hello, NFL fans, and welcome. Today we're going to break down Week 1's best quarterback performances, and we're going to do this using the QBR ratings. First of all, I want to kick off by talking about last year's QBR ratings and why they're important. Now, if you look here up on the screen, I have the 2024 final results, 17 weeks of all the quarterback play, and in terms of who finished first in terms of QBR rating. And as you can see, Lamar Jackson was number one last year in QBR rating. Finished at 77.5. But I want you to pay attention to this one fact here. If you look at the top 10 quarterbacks, any quarterback highlighted in black made the playoffs. Anybody in red did not. So if you look here, out of the top 10, 70% of the quarterbacks that finished in the top of the league in QBR rating made the playoffs. So that's important. And then finally, I just want to show you the top 15. There's 32 teams. If you split it in half, you're going to get the top 15. And out of the top 15, 73% of the quarterbacks that finished in the top 15 made the playoffs. So if you want to know whether or not your team is a playoff team, quarterback ratings is extremely, extremely important. And then more importantly, if you just go down, what I did was I did the bottom 10. So you had the top 10 up there. You had 73% of the quarterbacks making the playoffs. Look at the bottom 10. Anybody highlighted in red did not make the playoffs. So as you can see, only two quarterbacks and only two teams that had a quarterback performing in the bottom half of the league in 2024. Only two teams made the playoffs. And that is Russell Wilson with the Pittsburgh Steelers and CJ Stroud with the Houston Texans. Now, I just wanted to, demonstrate the importance of quarterback play and QBR ratings. So now what we're going to do is we're going to break down Week 1 in terms of QBR ratings. And we are going to start at number 10. But I want you guys to stick around because you're going to be shocked to see who finished in the top 3. There's a quarterback it's going to blow your mind. So please stay to the end so you can see that. So we're going to kick it off right now, and we're going to start off with number 10. Number 10 in Week 1 was Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy finished in the top 10, finished with a 74% completion rating, which is very good, very accurate. That's the good. The bad, he had 2 interceptions, but San Francisco was able to beat the Seahawks. More on the bad side for Purdy. He's out for 2 to 5 weeks. He injured his toe, so he's going to be out for 2 to 5 weeks. And Mac Jones is going to be his replacement. Now, San Francisco is playing New Orleans. I think they can win that game. It's on the road. I think they can win that game, even with Mac Jones at the quarterbacking. But the question is, how are they going to do for the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks? So that's the $1 million question. But Purdy performed well, finished in the top 10, but he's out 2 to 5 weeks. We have to keep an eye on that one. Let's move on to number 9. Number 9 was Josh Allen. I just call him Superman. He finished with a 76.7 QBR rating, led the Bills to a week 1 win over the Baltimore Ravens, scored the most points in Week 1 out of any team. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills put up 41 points on that Ravens defense. Josh Allen led the league in passing, also 394 yards, and he also added 2 rushing touchdowns. That's what the reigning MVP is doing right now, and he's playing like Superman. All right, so let's move on to number 8. Number 8 on the list, Jordan Love. Jordan Love is in such a rhythm with the Packers, and one of the reasons he's in a rhythm is that offensive line. The offensive line is keeping a clean pocket, great vision downfield. In terms of pushing the ball downfield also, Jordan Love is averaging almost 12 yards per catch. So the Packers really got it going, not only on offense, but they also got it going on defense. And I was really impressed with Jordan Love in Week 1. Moving on to number 7. Number 7, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes finished with a 77.4 QBR rating. The one thing that really jumped out to me in their loss in week 1 to the Chargers was Patrick Mahomes' completion percentage, 61.5%. What that tells me is the offensive line needs to give him more time. They need to protect him a little bit better. And this is crucial because Kansas City lost in week 1, and they have the defending champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, coming in for a Super Bowl rematch in week 2. Kansas City needs this game, so that's going to be a big one. So the one thing I would have to say about Patrick Mahomes, got to get that completion percentage up, and the offensive line has to protect him better. On to number 6. Number 6 is Michael Penix Jr., who was my breakout player of the year. Love Michael Penix Jr. He had a strong performance in a loss, actually a heartbreaking loss to the Buccaneers. Atlanta has weapons on the offensive side of the ball, and it's going to be up to Penix to get that ball out to the weapons so they can make plays. But the real key to this game was Atlanta's defense. They could not get off the field on third down. The Bucs ended up converting 50% of their third down conversions, and you can't win like that in the NFL. But in terms of Michael Penix Jr., he played well, but not well enough to win. We'll see how they do in week 2. On to number 5. Number 5 is Baker Mayfield, who outdueled Michael Penix Jr. in week 1. Finished with 3 touchdowns and won a thriller. And you got to give the Bucs offense some credit. The same way Atlanta could not get off the field on third down, the Bucs kept drives alive on third down. They were able to complete 50%. And that was the reason they won this game. That's one of the reasons. And also another reason they won the game was because of Baker Mayfield. And it's funny, Baker Mayfield's, everyone thought his career was over after the whole Cleveland situation. And he bounced around, went to LA, went here, went there, and he ended up with the Bucs. The Bucs make the playoffs, and he's a big part of that. So big up to Baker Mayfield. The guys, he's winning games. So what else can you ask for? All right, let's move on to number 4. Number 4. I said Jordan Love was impressive in week 1. Justin Herbert was also very impressive. He had complete command of the offense, the Chargers offense, in a week 1 win over the Kansas City Chiefs. And one of the reasons that the Chargers look like legitimate contenders, and I believe they are, is their defense. And a lot of people don't realize this, but last year the Chargers defense only gave up 17.7 points a game. That was number 1 in the NFL in 2024. And they're up to the old tricks again. I think the Chargers are going to be a problem out west. So congratulations to Justin Herbert. And no interceptions, almost 13 yards per catch. What more can you ask for? Looking good. Let's move on to number 3. Now, number 3 to me was a shocker. I completely did not expect this, but number 3 in QBR rating in week 1, no other than Daniel Jones. Almost a 76% completion rating in week 1. Finished with an 87 QBR rating. Pushed the ball down the field, 12 yards per catch. So Jones was getting the ball out to his playmakers, which was really impressive. Now my question is the Miami defense really this bad? Or are the Colts better than we expected? That's the $1 million question. And can Daniel Jones stay healthy? Because in New York, he flashed, but injuries were part of the problem, inconsistencies. Hopefully that's behind him and he can keep performing. But big up to my big surprise at number 3, Daniel Jones. The Giants fans were ready to drive him to the airport, but he looks like he is back and he looks like he is in a good situation with the Colts. Moving on now to the top 2. At number 2 and week 1 in QBR rating was no other than Jalen, Mr. Hurts, putting a hurt on teams. Now, Jalen Hurts was number one in completion percentage, but he only threw the ball 23 times, but finished with 82, almost 83% completion percentage, right? Only 150 yards, which is not a lot. They're not asking Jalen Hurts to throw for 300 yards. Yards per catch was only 8 yards per catch. So they're not really pushing the ball down the field. It's different with the Eagles because they're built differently. Hurts runs the ball. He runs the ball a lot. So they're a little bit different. So I'm not really concerned about passing yards or even yards per catch with the Eagles because they are different. But the bottom line, Hurts, he wins, and next week's going to be big because he's in a Super Bowl rematch in week 2 on the road in Kansas City. That should be fun. But congrats to Jalen Hurts, finishing with a 90.7 QBR rating. Now we got a drum roll for our number 1 rated QBR in week 1, and that is nobody other than my man, Lamar Action Jackson. Finished with a 91.4 QBR rating. Only 200 yards, but was very accurate, almost 74%, and 15 yards a catch, right? So it's that threat of run and the pass. It's a perfect combination, and I think that's why they're so successful. Now, Jackson went on the road, Orchard Park, and put up 40 points on the Buffalo defense, which is super impressive. That's the good news. The bad news is the Ravens defense gave up 41 points. So, and it was a heartbreaking loss for the Ravens. So let's see how they bounce back next week. Lamar had two passing touchdowns, no interceptions, and he also added 70 yards on the ground. He is Mr. Dynamic, but unfortunately, it was in a loss. So there you have it. You have the top 10 QBR rating, top 10 rated quarterbacks in week 1. I'm going to do the same thing for week 2, so please watch out for that. Also, I would like your comments. Please subscribe and put your comments in there. And what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Daniel Jones? Can he keep this up? What will he do in week 2? And if there are any other surprises in terms of what you saw in the top 10. But Daniel Jones was definitely a shocker. Can't wait to see what he does next week. And guys, I look forward to talking to you next week. Thank you and peace.